big data is and how it is processed and defined as big data. Many companies today are having one common problem: processing big data. Today we'll be discovering what is big data, what are the attributes of big data, and why do we have big data, and also what are tools that we have to resolve this issue. So, what is big data? Big data is simply data that is so large that it becomes difficult to process using traditional systems. The term big data is relative to the capabilities of the system it's being processed through. I like to think of it as if you had a large disk that couldn't fit into your computer. Your computer can't process that data because it's too big. But there are ways to process that data. What is big, though? I put a graph of types of data that you can encounter in your life. But it doesn't mean that it has to be at the zettabyte phase. It could be megabyte. So, for example, if you have 100 megabytes of data and your processing system can't process it, that would be considered big data. It's whatever is too big for the system to process. What are the attributes of big data, though? The 3 V's are the attributes. The 3 V's are velocity, volume, and variety. Velocity is simply the data that comes in at very high speeds. When data comes in at a very high velocity, sometimes it's hard for the processing systems to compute it. When data comes in at a high volume, it's hard for processing systems to compute it because it's too large. Thinking back to the example I gave you earlier of a large disk in a computer. And then variety. Variety is data comes in all different forms. You can get them in pictures, videos, books, transactions, and public records. There's also many more examples of both processors and data. Most are location aware, which makes the data even bigger and more precise. Sometimes this can be good when organizing the data. But where do we get this data from? We get them from many different sources. The 4 main sources are users, applications, systems, sensors. These all create big data together and separately. Users are like us, internet users, who go on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, who are constantly uploading and posting pictures, and even finding old pictures. Sorting through those old pictures is sorting through all your big data. And sometimes it's so large that it's hard to load. Applications like word processors, management systems, and a flight simulator are all sources of big data. Take, for example, when you download a large document that's over 100 sheets. It may take a couple seconds for it to download because that data is so large that your word processor is trying to calculate it all onto its word processor. This sucks. I hate myself.